Dude, I actually wanted to share a little bit about habits and skills. And I think this is definitely a perspective shifting topic, specifically for the Warriors here at Infinite, and as especially you guys, Mark and Danny. Uh, as as you already know, Mark, it's all about the skills. But as you're learning, Danny, you'll start to notice that skills are just another way of looking at it as habits. Because essentially, in order to develop a skill in anything, right, it takes consistent repetition, trial and error, discipline, and all of these other factors that can kind of go into it. So I kind of wanted to break that down for you all. I'm going to share my iPad here and just really showcase the difference between habits and the difference between skills here at Infinite and how that's going to better serve and support you all on your journey throughout not only the academy but also for the rest of your life. So, shall we get into it? Let me know in the chat if this is a topic that you are interested in hearing more about. We got a thumbs up from Danny. And Olga said, let's go. Cool. I'm going to share my screen here, get a blank page. I would say get used to iPad Walt for our academy. I'm going to try to uh, emphasize this tool a little bit more in our weekly calls to kind of map things out and get visual. I know it's been a while for some of you who had a one-on-one assessment with me, but plus I don't really do too many quests with the iPad, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. All right, I'm gonna share my screen now. Oop, hold on one second. Oh, I believe you're good to go. Can you all see this? Let me know. 18th, 24. Cool, awesome. So let's first talk about habits. So habits. Sorry for my handwriting, by the way. I'm going to try to make it legible. Um, there's a quote that I wish I could get tattooed on myself, but unfortunately I can't. I do professional marketing and advertising and modeling for companies, so they won't allow me to actually get tattoos because I'm under contract and things like that. So, fun fact, just in case you didn't know. Um, but if I were to choose something to get tattooed, it would be this quote that I've been living by for as long as I can remember, and it's your daily habits culminate into the bigger picture we paint of ourselves. And there's great power hidden in this statement that has completely changed how I approached not just health and fitness, but life in general. Welcome, Tiara. Great to have you here. Great to have you here, Tiara. I was just sharing that I wish I could get tattooed, uh, but unfortunately I can't. And it's our daily habits culminate into the bigger picture of ourselves. And this quote means so much to me. And what that means is so powerful for what we're doing here in the academy and also what you can be doing beyond that. And it's one of the key words is daily habits. So it's not about what we do tomorrow, next week, a month from now, 4 months from now. It's truly what we do today, which is another one of my mantras, which I'm sure you all have probably heard at some point, which is conquer the day, right? That's why I say conquer the day. So if we were to kind of get deeper into the layers of what that means, it's because of our daily habits. So why are our daily habits so more important than what we're doing tomorrow or next week or 4 months from now? It's because of a simple thing that I've learned. If we were to kind of again get a little bit deeper, is today plus today equals your goals. And this again, this all connects to my mantra of conquer the day. And this how this all connects to skills, I'll get to in a moment. But it really is the culmination of what we call is the compound effect. So if you don't really know what the compound effect is essentially if we were to take 1% of your getting 1% better every single day for 365 days of the out of the year, you basically can get about 36 times better than where you are currently. And that's the power of the compound effect. So basically, what happens is your daily actions, like one, two, three, four, culminates to this massive growth over time. And I think this is something that a lot of people uh, underestimate is the power of what one decision or one action can do every single day. Because what happens is a lot of people go through the opposite. So you can see some people kind of going massive, massive effort to like, yeah, motivation, motivation. But then they come down, right? Then they come back up, right? And they're like, okay, I'm going to try a little bit harder. Then they come back down. And then they try to come back up again, but then they come back down. And then it's this roller coaster ride of them kind of just ending up here instead of here. That makes sense. So the big takeaway when it comes to habits is the compound effect. And again, I encourage you to do a little bit more research because they've done so much research on this, and it's so awesome to see the effect that this has on multiple different areas, not just health, but in your career, when it comes to developing skill sets, which I'm about to get into, and so much more. So, if you're familiar with the compound effect and you value your habits, let me hear from you. Drop it in the chat. Do you focus on your daily habits? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Massive, massive gains. And if I were to kind of also connect it from a gamer's perspective, specifically, obviously, an RPG gamer's perspective, it's very similar to either, I guess, the term grinding in a way. And sometimes this term has a negative association for a lot of people, simply because it's just repetitive behavior, right? Sometimes it's mundane, boring, uh, repetitive behavior that you're kind of performing over and over and over again, right? And for some people, that's like, oh, I don't want to do that, right? But what if it's easy behavior, right? What if the behavior has a massive reward, right? And this kind of goes into the one of the quests inside of the academy, which is the habit loops, right? So just a refresher, because I know some of you have either been through the course already or going through it. Again, just as a reminder, there's three components when it comes to generating a habit, and that's the trigger, action, and the reward. And this essentially is what a habit is. So when it comes to a gamer's perspective, perhaps there is behavior that is boring and that is repetitive, where you must grind. For example, grinding to get a particular weapon, right? Maybe you have to kill a certain enemy type, and you have to basically do that over and over and over again just to essentially get the reward of getting this new, unique, powerful weapon. I know, Mark, you're very familiar with this playing Diablo, right? Lots of grinding in either one dungeon, one area, it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again just to get one result. So there's great power in focusing on the reward. And in my opinion, when you focus on the reward, it's far more powerful than focusing on the negatives, the struggle, the downsides, and also how the negative feeling that you might have. And it's literally the essence of also goal setting as well, right? When you're setting goals, what's the reward, right? What are you going to get out of getting to this destination? And then you kind of also ask yourself the question, is it worth it, right? Is it worth, like Mark just said, grinding the same boss to get one item, right? And that's up to you to decide, right? And I think everyone here has kind of made that decision. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be here, right? Right? Like each one of you is like, what's going to be the reward for me to show up to this call today? Right? Perhaps that's getting some value out of what we discussed today. Maybe it's getting your question answered. Maybe it's just getting in the right mindset for growth and change and learning. Whatever that may be for you, remember that, right? And try to apply that to everything that you're doing. So, just a quick recap before we go into skills and how this all connects to skills is our daily habits culminate into the bigger picture that we paint of ourselves, simply because today plus today equals your goals. So, um, something else I want to add as a bonus here, I've said this to so many warriors throughout history, so to speak, um, is what if you have a bad day, right? We say, hey, today plus today equals your goals. Well, today was not a good day, right? So does that mean my goals are shot, right? Does it mean that now I'm not making progress? No. What that means is we just want to be better than yesterday. That's it. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good or bad things are, better is better. Plain and simple. Better is better. We never want to strive for perfection, because setting that expectation is the formula for yourself to get let down, for you to lose motivation, and for you to possibly break discipline and your habits, right? We just want to strive for better, because we're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days, but it's just a matter of being better than who we were yesterday, right? And by taking action today, that compared to taking action yesterday, that's better, right? Because maybe we didn't do anything yesterday. But since you did something today, that is progress. And if you keep going through this loop or this trigger of being like, what can I do today? By again starting this habit loop, that trigger, and you take that action, you will get a reward. And sometimes that reward is not immediate, right? You might not feel it yet. You might not it might not be tangible, something that you could hold, but the reward is what happens with the compound effect, which is the person that you believe you could be, the warrior that you aspire to be, right? The growth that you can achieve, right? With your mind, your body, and all these different things. So, all this connects to the compound effect and habit loops because truly the change that you can make in your life, both inside fitness and outside, relies on what you do today and the habits that you create for yourself on a consistent basis, and ultimately the trigger and the action and the reward. Any comments? Any questions? Big, big, a little bit of a motivational speech, a little bit in there. But there is deep science and psychology into this way of thinking. So it's not just words. We have to process these words and turn it into action. Let me get caught up in the chat, by the way. I'm like missing the chat. Olia mentioned, so totally true. It's the daily micro decisions that make the biggest difference in the long run. Choosing to use the stairs instead of an elevator, picking a grilled chicken sandwich rather than fried, parking a little farther away to get a few extra steps. Totally. Those small incremental changes are so important, which is another reason why we are helping gaming industry professionals and executives as well, is that they have such little time and little energy to be able to focus on their health and fitness. So what we do is we just focus on the micro habits, the small little decisions throughout the day that they make when it comes to what they eat for lunch, what they do when they first wake up in the morning, how they approach training and nutrition. They don't have an hour, 2 hours plus to work out, so we have to figure out, cool, what can we do in 30 minutes, 45 minutes? All these small little tweaks over time can result in massive, massive change. And that's why it's all about more about the process of change that you go through when it comes to creating the habits that are going to drive success for the long term. So, Tira, you said you're working on getting back to exercise. Awesome. So, great question to ask yourself is like, what's a habit, or first of all, what's the trigger for you to kind of exercise, and then also what's the action and ultimately the reward. So when you're setting up a habit, or in this case, a weekly habit of exercise, something that you can do is like, cool, on Mondays when I get home from work, which is the trigger, I'm going to put my shoes on and get my gym clothes ready and go to the gym, right? Maybe the action might not be exercising, but it could be just going to the gym. Because if you're at the gym, it's like, what else are you going to do? you know, since you're there, you might as well exercise, right? And then the reward, well, you focused on taking action today. You didn't take action yesterday with exercise, but today, boom, big reward is you're getting one step closer to how you want to feel, how you want to look, what you want to be able to do with your body. And that's when you get that big dopamine release. So that's just a big example of habits. And a small takeaway out of establishing new habits is the action doesn't necessarily have to be the action that you want to do. So, for example, if the action that you want to do is exercise, maybe the habit loop could be just putting your shoes on, getting in your car, and that's it, right? And then from there, that's when the snowball effect could come into play of being like, well, I'm in my car, I might as well drive to the gym. Okay, I made it to the gym, might as well walk through the front door. Okay, since I'm in the gym, I might as well start warming up. Right? The next thing you know, you just finished a workout. Now you're driving home. So that's the power of uh, not always making the habit the end goal, but like breaking that down into smaller steps to kind of get you to that end goal of working out. Let me know if that makes sense because this is stuff that clearly, if you don't know, I love talking about. Perfect. Awesome. Yes. I like to think I'm getting a little bit better at explaining things over the years. So that feedback is really also helpful for me. Um, cool. Awesome. So skills, how does skills come into play? And this is kind of the last thing I want to kind of teach you guys. Of course, the academy is will teach you a lot of the skills as far as the application. So I just really want to show you the uh, theory, I guess, behind skills. So basically, in other words, the skills are in a way habits. Okay. Obviously, we have multiple different types of skills. We have our physical combat, we have our nutritional alchemy, and then we have our mental intellect, right? And within these kind of areas, there's all these different things that you can basically learn and improve and practice on a consistent basis. And why this is so powerful is skills are not only habits. So, skills are habits, but it's not just habits. Simply because habits is just basically doing the same thing consistently over a period of time, right? But the special part about skills is that you can combine multiple skills together. Oop. Combat, alchemy, and intellect. So I'm gonna give you guys a pretty awesome example. Shout out to you, Mark, who is on a crazy, crazy streak, getting your step count on that step count streak of around, I think it was 10K every day. So that's super, super huge. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break down that skill because that's a skill that I'm also hitting as well. So for in Infinite, we just call that our our step skill. But what goes into this skill, right? It's not just a habit. I'm just gonna hit these steps, right? There's a whole nother layer to it. What's involved with improving this skill? Well, it first starts with motivation, right? Your why. Why even practice this skill, right? Why even attempt to even like stick with this habit, so to speak, right? So motivation it comes into play, right? Then we have a whole nother skill as well in here. Tracking. You won't know if you hit your step count goal if you don't track it, right? Otherwise, it's just like, I think I hit my goal today, but you won't get that dopamine release because you won't see 10K in your app, right? So that comes into play. What else? Discipline, right? It won't become a habit unless you practice your discipline skill. Being able to grind that same boss over and over and over again, right? Going through that emotional battle of being like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then over a long period of time, you start to reap the rewards, right? Discipline. But I think you guys can get the point. There's so many other factors that come into play with this, right? And that's the beauty of skills is that skills are essentially multiple habits combined into one. And when we train skills, we are also developing other areas that can help with other things as well in combat, alchemy, and intellect. One more example, so I don't lose you guys here, is what skills are involved with motivation, tracking, and discipline? Let me know in the chat. Anything that pops in your mind, like what skills involve motivation, tracking, and discipline? These are all intellect skills. Tracking is a little bit kind of like alchemy, a little bit, but what other skills involve motivation, tracking, and discipline? Any ideas? Come on, there are no wrong answers. Anybody? Consistency. Yep. Perfect. Resistance training. Yep. Right. We gotta track our workouts. We gotta obviously get motivated to go to the gym. Right. Gotta have the discipline to obviously reap the rewards of going to the gym. But you guys get the point, right? Uh, that's the power of skills, and this is one of the things that completely not only transformed how I approached habits, but also has completely transformed many of the warriors that I've worked with throughout the years. Is looking at it a little bit more deeply, and if you kind of take these concepts and you apply them into your daily action, you can see how doing that one thing can have a profound impact on other areas. So by just logging your food every day for a week, that's going to improve your motivation skill, right? It's going to improve your tracking skill. It's going to improve your discipline skill. And those skills that you're improving, again, indirectly, carry over to other areas like working out, right? Like completing your quests inside the course, like increasing your water intake. See what I'm saying? And then when you improve those skills, you're now improving the skill that you were just working on. See what I'm saying? So it's a giant action ecosystem where every action you take has an effect on all the other areas that you're trying to improve as well. And that's the power of focusing on your habits daily combined with what you do today and then what you do today to get to your ultimate goals. So I hope uh, I put everything together in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that shows that no matter how small the action you take, it can have a profound long-term impact on not just what you're doing, but multiple different areas of your life. Just like Mark said, the snowball effect. One action truly is powerful. And again, if you don't believe me, dive deeper into the compound effect. I'm sure there's people who've explained it better than me, but I just explained it in the infinite way, so to speak. So lots of wisdom I dropped here today. I hope you got value. Let me know in the chat. Let me know if this was valuable to you. Let me know if you'd like me to explain anything further. You'd like some further clarity, but our daily habits culminate into the bigger picture we paint of ourselves. Remember, today plus today equals your goals. Be better than who you were yesterday, because better is better. And also remember to conquer the day. If I were you guys, I would like write down each one each one of these, put it on sticky notes at random places as like a reminder. I know Olia does that sometimes as a reminder sometimes when things are going up or things are going down. Conquer the day. Totally. So yeah, that's all I have for today here. If you have any questions, this is your last chance to ask. Drop it in the chat, and we could go and take action with this knowledge. Maybe complete some quests for the day, even if that means just learning something new, and develop the habit of learning daily. Let me know in the chat. Cool. No questions, looks like. Cool. Then before I let everybody go, let me know what was the biggest takeaway for you in this conversation today. Let's bring it all together. What was the biggest takeaway for you today? What was most valuable for you? Let me know in the chat. Take your time, no rush. I think I'm gonna share my notes from today in the Discord, by the way, as a reminder. Mark, you said I liked what you said about having a bad day. Just do better tomorrow. 100%. Something very small but very significant, you know. I definitely been there sometimes, having a bad day. You know, sometimes we get so caught up either in the present or the past. Um, and just knowing that, like, hey, when you wake up the next day, it's like, okay, past is the past, but I now have an opportunity today to do better. So huge. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. Danny, maybe make the action step a smaller step. Awesome. Yeah, that's a huge, huge one. It's like trying to set the goal of climbing up the mountain, right? When you're still at home. Right? It's like, well, let's first get to the first part of the mountain, or better yet, let's like get in a vehicle and drive there first. Then maybe we could summit the first peak, and then we can maybe get to the next peak and then the next, and the next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain. So yeah, super big. Thanks for sharing, Danny. Uh, Tierra, learn from mistakes. Totally, totally, yeah. There's a lot of learning when it comes to um, our habits, right? And obviously, if the habits aren't serving us, they're not supporting us and getting us closer to the reward that we want to have, then there's a lot to learn with the action that we do take, right? It's harder to learn when we're not taking action, right? Because failure is the best teacher. I teach you guys these things because I failed so many times in my life, and I've helped a lot of people who have failed, and I've learned from them. I learned from their failures, and I teach you guys these things to prevent as much failure as possible. But it is part of the journey. So learning from your mistakes is huge. Thanks for sharing, Tierra. And Olia, you said this convo made me rethink all the areas where I already do make better decisions and where I can do better. You said, yes, break my things down into micro steps is so helpful for myself. Awesome. Super big. Hopefully, your awareness skill improved today, bringing the skills back into the equation. Let's all take action with what we learned today. Let's make the rest of today positive in some area. Try to either begin a new habit or continue an old habit, and try to take some sort of action, even if it's the smallest thing today, because it will compound and be very, very powerful for the long term. But I'm going to leave you all to it. Enjoy the rest of your day, conquer the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next week. And of course, I'll see you all in Discord. All right, Warriors. This is your Master Wizard, Walt, out. See ya.